Hmm? Ah! Welcome to the show. My name is Alex.
And I'm Lizzie.
And today we are finishing our next rewatch, which is episode 6 of season 1, book 60 or 74. And I know, right? And this was a pretty important episode. You know, we have a lot going on, and I just find that it's kind of an interesting we're learning a lot about our world and how bizarre it is and what's going on. And folks, if you enjoy the podcast, just hit that subscribe button, as well as if you are looking for any type of Fromily type stuff, you can go to our From shop, which is What Is From on Etsy. So, Lizzie, what was your first thoughts of this episode?
At the moment, I have to get reacquainted with it because I finished watching it like 2 weeks ago and took my notes. But, you know, I like every episode. It's during this rewatch, it surprises me continuously that it feels like I'm watching it for the first time. That it's the first time into Universal Studios, like seeing those rides and going on those rides and, you know, experiencing those thrills. And I know this is book 74 and Khatri does give his thoughts on that, but for some reason I wanted it to be a little bit bigger on that. It is a pretty monumental thought, and if you're not paying attention, you could definitely miss it.
Right.
And forget it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, Khatri is really featured in this because, you know, we're going right off of the death of a person, and he has to kind of get into gear since he is the spiritual leader, and spirituality has a lot to do with From, because we go back to the question, you know, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. Are they alive or are they dead? And Father Khatri has a really good answer for that. But that said, before we get into, you know, that particular scene, let's dive right into it and see where the wires take us, so to speak.
Yeah, or even more than so to speak. So the cold open is, I think it's like 7. Yeah, it's 7 scenes long. And over the whole thing, Khatri is speaking and he says, chaos and faith, that is the duality of our existence from the moment we first arrive, and not simply here in this town, but in this world, in this life. From the moment we open our newborn eyes, we are faced with a chaos we cannot even begin to understand. And how do we respond? What is the very first sound we make? We cry out. We plead for answers before we even have the words to give voice to the questions. That's how we begin our journey through this world, terrified, confused. And, you know, from personal experience, it really doesn't change much from the beginning.
Right.
And so we search and we strive and we stumble through the chaos. We spend our lives looking for signs that are somewhere, somehow, there's a meaning, a purpose to it all. And then one day we find our faith. Our faith that we are each here in this world, in this place, as part of God's mysterious plan. And ending up in From, that is a mysterious plan. In our faith, we understand that chaos is the meaning. It is in our struggle, in our search, that we find our purpose. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. Amen. So he is conducting a church service, when this starts. The first scene is the town exterior graveyard. Nathan is being buried, and Boyd and Kenny are shoveling. They're doing the dirty work. The second scene is the church inside where Katri is conducting service. The third scene is the town exterior. Jade pulls up between the side of a house and a car. He's still on Clara's bike. He's got the radio under his arm and a broken umbrella now. He pulls out the antenna wire. The fourth scene is the Matthews house, interior kitchen. Tabitha stands at the table. She packs up the remaining belongings of the Pratt family and puts it into a box. Tabitha stops to look through a folder with a lot of papers in it. So the fifth scene is the Colony House exterior. Julie looks at the 6 graves that Victor has dug. Julie looks around and then goes to Colony House. She stops at the door, looks around, doesn't go in. She walks down the length of the porch toward a bouquet of flowers, and she picks up the bouquet.
Because the From florist decided to stop by and
FTT,
literally FTD.
FTD.
Yeah.
From the dead.
Or for the dead.
Or the dead. Or the soon to be dead. Who knows?
They do a really good job of foreshadowing in this because, we know what's going to happen in the Colony House soon.
Yeah.
But it just really, what I love about Julie's little scene there is it really gives a great sense of how big or the goings on in terms of placement of where stuff is in Colony House outside. So when you see the subsequent scenes and even into season 2, you kind of have a better sense of what's going on. So
yeah. Oh my God. I've got to get there, period. There's things I want to do in that town.
Right.
So 6th scene is the church interior. Let me sound a little less Boston. Katri gives a sermon. Tabitha quietly enters and leans against the back wall. Katri concludes with a prayer, and then the congregants leave. Katri goes to Tabitha. He tells her that it's always nice to see new faces. At this point, they have just started on day 5 when this episode opens.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep track of that because I think they're only in town like 2 weeks when the bus shows up, and I'm not sure. So he tells her, oh, wait a minute. She hands him a stack of papers and tells him that she only came by to give him that.
Right.
She found them while packing up the Pratt stuff and figured that the papers were Katri's. But why would his papers be there? Like, why would they be in the house? I mean, could he have put them down when he went in when he found?
Well, a lot's been going on. I mean,
did he live there before?
He could have been there. They could have been there. He might have left them by mistake when he was showing them the place. He could have left them there, when Bob was, comforting Bob.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why, but I just think, I think there's a lot of crap all over this place.
Yeah. You never know.
And it's not just in that house. So
yeah.
Who knows?
So Katri asks about Ethan. Tabitha says, scared and confused, doesn't understand why Sarah would try to hurt him, and then asks if anyone has seen her. He tells her not since she ran into the woods. Wink, wink. Right. He ran after her, but his knees aren't quite what they used to be. He doesn't believe that she survived the night. Oh my gosh, did you see that? I spelled night with K-N-I-G-H-T. That's so bad. Let's see. Tabitha asks about the Bible passages. Did he write them from memory? He replies word for word. It tends to stick. He wants to know why she really came to the church. And she says, how do you know any of this is real? she asks if they are dead. Are they alive? I want to know what you think, Alex.
I do think that they are alive. I wrestle with this all the time because there's too many freaky things that happen, and especially in this episode. I mean, I could see them also being in a purgatory of some kind.
Yeah.
I mean, what somebody would do to get there is a whole nother issue. But I mean, what the heck did Ethan do? Except be
Ethan.
part of.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying be part of
Be a
the
Matthews member.
wrong RV.
Yeah.
I
mean, that accident was enough to kill them all. And it didn't.
True. But if you look at how some of the other people got here, there was no accident.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything traumatic, at least as much as we know. I mean, we'll get to the bus, but the bus didn't. None of these cars have scratches on them.
Like all this stuff happens after they get there.
Yeah, there's another point I want to make, but we just haven't gotten to that scene yet.
Okay.
But right now, I love his answer because he says, I've been really good at answering this question, because I have a lot of people asking me the same question. And I think that there's you really have to take a look at what the bottom line is nobody knows.
Yeah.
And
nobody does know.
And I go back to this when we first started doing the first watch of this. It's really a shame that nobody talks to anybody. Everybody is so darn secretive with everything, and if they would just lay all their cards out, it might be a little bit more beneficial. But everybody kind of is in their own little world, and it just drives me nuts. And
someone posted about that the other day. I mean, I just went back to work finally. And hopefully we'll be busy for quite a while, but I do pop into, the different threads on Facebook, and I saw that someone had posted that very thought just the other day. Why don't they talk to each other? Why don't they?
Oh, yeah. No, okay. I'm sorry.
And
yeah.
I bet there's some late night bull sessions at the Colony House, like, get high.
But they're not showing it. They're not showing it.
Yeah, they don't show it. The camera's just never there when that happens.
The other thing that's kind of a criticism of the show, and I know we drink from potato vodka, so to speak, from Tom, is, okay, they have a shit ton of people there. Yeah. It seems like they've got a ton of extras. That service, we didn't know anybody in that service.
Right.
You see people walking around, boys like, hey, how you doing, ladies? Da, 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 da. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that you need to know everybody that's in the town, but at the same time, it's like,
how many people are there?
I mean, how many hundreds of thousands of people are there? And then they do show inside a Colony House how people are sleeping. And as much as I love Colony House, dude, I take the town and party at Colony House all the time because I don't
like that communal living.
No, I don't like sleeping on the floor.
Yeah. I need my own space. That's going to stay mine. I don't need Trudy like rooting through all my things.
I just don't understand the whole thing. For people that are in this situation, Boyd was really a godsend because he kind of organized everything.
Yeah.
But and I think the town is more organized. Like, that's the one thing that I got out of this episode is that, and I'm not saying the Colony House isn't organized. They have their own system. But when you're dealing with this many people, I mean, you're moving a lot of food, a lot of everything.
There's a lot.
I mean, just the bathroom alone, which they don't, nobody goes to the bathroom on From, by the way. You
Yeah,
know, and that's fine. I mean, you know, but
not for real anyway.
not for real. But
You go meet a hot date in the bathroom.
there's the from question of the week. Where do people go to the bathroom, and where does that go? I mean, it's like
Where does
it's
it
just
go? The
I
pipes just go down to nowhere.
the pipes go nowhere, and Smiley's like feeding off of the
Oh my
poop.
god. Maybe it goes into the Brundles. I don't know. But let's get back on track.
Sorry,
So
yeah, sorry.
um the seventh scene is the church basement. Katri goes into the basement, lights a candle, closes the basement door. Now, mind you, it is pitch black down there. Grabs the papers and goes into the wait a minute. He grabs his papers, goes into the basement. He walks over to a gagged and bound Sarah that is sitting in the dark. They look at each other and he tells her that they need to talk. All right. So now we're into the actual episode. And this is scene 8. The town exterior graveyard. Boyd and Kenny are finishing up the grave. Boyd asks Kenny if he's all right, and he says he's having a hard time wrapping his brain around what happened. That is that it was Sarah, and that she was always so thoughtful and nice. Yeah. Boyd asks how Mrs. Lou is handling it, and Kenny says hard since Sarah was like a daughter she never had. Boyd tells Kenny that he's been thinking about what he said about running out of room on the chessboard. Boyd says something's changing here, like something's slipping away. The talisman worked in the RV and concludes that they haven't pushed into the forest because they didn't know the talisman would protect them out there. Boyd is going to put together supplies, go out into the forest, and see. Kenny puts down the shovel and walks away. Kenny wants to know if Boyd is alone. Yes. How far? As far as it takes me to find a way out. That's the point. Kenny doesn't think that there is a point anymore. And if Boyd wants to die, just go ahead and do it. And then Kenny leaves. So back to the energy is changing. What do you think Boyd meant?
Well, you know, Boyd is a typical military father, I think, or just a father for that matter. You know, he's got
Yeah.
an objective. He's trying to solve problems. That's what men get in trouble for all the time. I don't mean that to be funny, you know.
Well, that's your job. I mean, not that women don't, but that's
That's
how he
you know, I
fills
mean,
people.
that's what we like to do. What's the
Yeah.
problem and
Let me
whatever. And
fix it.
sometimes, you know, you just have to listen. And unfortunately, Boyd is not listening to what Kenny is saying. I mean, he just lost his dad.
Yeah.
He was already in a bad place.
Yeah.
And you know, he Boyd tries to bring up the whole chess analogy. You know, and I love that analogy because I think it is a game of chess. You know, they do something, the entity, for lack of a better term, does something, and then they respond back. They couldn't go at night, so now they have the talismans. You know, they keep going back and forth with this game of chess. But as Kenny said, and this is why, you know, especially Kenny is so um upset, he's never beat his dad, because no matter what you do, he's still going to win. And that's what he
Right.
said about the monsters. So, you know,
Yeah.
he's in his lowest point, and um he's taking care of his mother, so to speak.
Well,
Um
no, he really is. Like he is seeing to her
yeah,
well-being and he, trying to protect her. But, Sarah goes and does this wacky thing. Like they find out that Sarah has this evil side to her that they didn't see coming.
see, the
So,
one thing about the whole Sarah thing that's kind of bothering me, and it has nothing to do with actually Sarah as much as, all right, we're in this wacky place. We got monsters coming at night. Like, you know, if she had said, my arm is right and kill the boy, as crazy as that sounds, like, it's not out of the realm of possibility. You
Not
know what I
there,
mean?
it isn't.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say, and that's what's really bothering me about this. Like, in this rewatch, I'm starting to get more and more upset with, like, why are you guys not believing the craziness that it's like they're home when they want to be, but then they've got monsters on the side. It's like
Yeah.
I'll have a helping of normal with a little monsters on the side. And it's like, no, we need a helping of monsters with normal on the side. And to Jade's point, and I know when we talked about it and the conversation with him and Tom, why isn't everybody like getting all crazy? Because they went through that. I get it. It's like the stages of uh what's it called?
Grief.
Yeah, it's stages of grief. Yeah,
Yeah.
acceptance. That
Yeah.
most of these people are in acceptance. But at the same time, it only seems like Boyd is the only one that's looking for a way home at this point.
It does. It certainly. Well, I mean, Jade's trying to figure it out,
No, but
but
I'm saying
Boyd
other than Jade and the
Yeah,
Matthews.
Boyd is. Well, the Matthews are trying to, but both the Matthews and Jade are trying to think their way out of it.
Right. And
Boyd
everybody
is
else is
out
just
there
living it.
doing the physical part, trying to, well, let me try this, let me try that. But while we were talking, I had this interesting thought, and I was like, all right, so we know Boyd knows that those talismans work because the night he finds them, he's in the forest
And he gets
and he's
protected.
in a little hut and they're all hanging there and the monsters won't bother him. So he goes back to town and he tells everybody about them. Now they've been hiding underground in bushes or wherever it is that they could find to hide, right?
Right.
How did he convince someone to try a house for the night with the talisman?
Right. I mean, like that's what I mean. It just seems like, again, I know we love the show,
Yeah,
but at the same time, for a story that is a mystery story, sometimes they forget that it's a mystery story.
yeah,
And like, I know you fall back into normal logic like 99% of the time,
yeah,
but it just seems like Jade's kind of right.
yeah,
Like, hello, shouldn't you be trying to 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 do something? Now, I'm going to throw a wrench into all this.
yeah,
This goes back to the whole mole thing. When you have leaders that kind of divert things, maybe that's one of the reasons why.
yeah.
And if you are in the camp that
Kind of
like
keep them
Donna's a
on track.
mole, I'm just saying, let's just take that and put it in front for a second. If
Yeah,
Donna is a mole, she would have the power to kind of keep everybody busy off track to do whatever, or whomever it is. It could
yeah,
be somebody we don't even know that's a player in the whole town that they haven't created yet.
right.
Um, I think that um the one thing that this episode showed me is that Father Khatri was important. I mean, is an important person, and he's got a lot of answers. And when we get to the conversation with him and Sarah, I think that's a really important conversation that
I
they
kind of
have.
think he's got a lot of questions
No, but
too.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah, no, I just think that
But I think he's a lot.
he's also trying to figure it out too.
Yeah, he's like, suppose this, suppose that. But my question was, what I wanted to talk about is, Boyd says that something is changing there, like the energy is changing there.
Right.
Do you feel like the energy is picking up? Because to me, it feels like things are intensifying.
Well, compared to Fantasyland like they were before the Matthews and Jade got there, yeah, they had 96
6
days
days.
of
No,
bliss.
yeah,
And maybe they're complacent, but I really think that you know, to your point, and I always give you crap about this, they don't look at everything as a clue
Yeah.
like you do, by you like having those earrings on today in the video. Like that's a clue, right?
That's a clue.
Versus no,
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
me who is like, okay, there's clues, but not everything is a clue. And I think
Yeah.
they're like on the second part where nothing is a clue. I'm just trying to survive versus when a clue does show itself, like, oh my god, that's not plausible. Like,
Yeah.
come on, guys. Like, you're not dumb. You've been in
Yeah.
this world. And again, I don't know why I'm being a little I'm so cheeky about this. It's just it just when I was watching it, I'm like, this is a really good I really like this episode. And it was
Yeah.
like and they really I think they they could have brought Father Kotri more into the mix than they have. And I think it's just wrong. But,
Well,
that's
yeah, but he does come in pretty significantly these 2 episodes,
no, I'm
and
saying, but then
yeah,
he,
yeah, and then
then
he
then he
yeah. But
then he bites
what
it.
I do love is that they brought him back last season, and I'm hoping that he's a mainstay,
Like it's a
that
reoccurring thing.
it's a
Yeah.
reoccurring thing that he continues to be part of Boyd's conscience.
Because
So
he's and the actor Sean is so like
he's so good at
sarcastic.
this.
But I'm saying
For
he's
a
so
comedian.
sarcastic. No, but I'm just saying he's so sarcastic in
Yeah,
a good way. Like, I just love when they battle back and forth
I
about
love the
religion
battle.
and it's not really a battle, but it's just a battle of wits, and
Yeah,
that's good. That's just good stuff. So, but
yeah,
anyway, let's press on because I know we've kind of got
okay.
off track.
Yeah, because we're moving on to the 9th scene. This is the Matthews house, kitchen, living room. Tabitha is walking in with a box of Pratt things. Jim is doing something with a plug. Jim shows her that there is no wire in the electrical cord because he's looking at the plug. Jim is miffed that Jade didn't. Jade comes busting in with all his stuff, calling Jim roller coaster guy.
Oh, I
And
know. That's so
I
funny.
love that. And telling him he needs Jim's help. Jim is miffed that Jade didn't knock, and Jade's response is, "Should I take off my shoes too?" Well, who knows what he could be tracking in there. Then points out that Jim has figured out the wire thing. Tabitha says Jade is the asshole that almost killed them. Jade explains that he wasn't driving, that his best friend since 4th grade
Yeah, I know.
died. He says that Toby's not walking around with a little boo-boo on his leg, meaning Ethan. So let's call that even.
I know. That was pretty funny.
Jade asks if they want to play house or go home because he has an idea. Jim and Tabitha look both annoyed, yet intrigued. So everything that Jade did in this scene was why we hated him.
Right.
This was everything. Like when you and I were first talking about this, right? You had not seen any of the episodes. I had. And we were like, oh my God, what a jerk. We hate him. We hate Jade. And now we love Jade. But
Well, he made up for it.
he totally did. He was someone that was on a personality journey for sure and had to learn how to act with people. And he does pick that up for the most part, So at any rate, that was quintessential Jade. Scene 10. We're back in the basement of the church. Katri and Sarah are in the basement. Alex, when you first saw this, what did you think was going to happen? What did you think about Katri when you saw that before anything is said?
No, I know. I was like, when I saw him go down there, this time I knew it was her, but I'm
Yeah,
like, oh shoot, what the heck is going on here?
yeah,
Is this going to be a good thing or a bad thing?
yeah,
And Katri knows the truth now after this conversation, meaning that
yeah,
there's an entity that is talking to Sarah. She's not
Well,
crazy.
actually, he doesn't know it. She gives him some information that he
Well,
checks
she
out.
gives him some pretty private information that
Yeah,
only he knows.
yeah,
And he starts going into how the Bible was formed.
yeah,
And as many people know, the Bible isn't one story, it's a collection of stories, like he said.
yeah,
There's 73 stories, and there are many other books out there that were fought for and were not put into the Bible.
yeah.
There was supposed to be other apostle writings and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, me, I'm more of a New Testament guy because I like, happy stuff. I'm not so much,
Fire and
tablets,
brimstone.
fire and brimstone. But at the same time, knowing that I think it's important to know that going into it. I think he says something really interesting, which I don't agree with him. He talks about that we might be the new book, and that
Yeah.
we're going to write the world or whatever, write this new book. And I'm like, dude, why would anyone put a bunch of monsters in with a bunch of people to rewrite this new world order thing? I mean, it just doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
but
But
why would God have put Job through everything that he put him through
he was
if he's
bored.
trying to get him to,
No,
you know,
and I get it, I
yeah.
get it. I mean, it's
So,
just
yeah,
it just didn't I just didn't particularly like that theory. Um, but at the same time, it's as good a theory as any, right?
yeah.
I think what Sarah went through with the paper was really awesome. I thought that was great acting by her.
Oh, we're not even up to that part yet.
Oh, we're not? Oh,
No,
sorry.
no, no. So Khatri tells her that there's not a single copy of the Bible in town.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The Diner's Travelers Library has lots of Robert Ludlum and Judy Blume novels,
because
but not a
she's so
single copy of the world's most popular book. Now, Ludlum wrote the Jason Bourne books, a
right,
spy, someone that appears one way, but is actually another, right? That
right,
has something going on behind the face. That's Sarah.
right.
Then Judy Blume wrote children's novels and fought censorship.
True.
Okay. So
Oh, I
Sarah,
know. She's from New Jersey. She's my girl.
there you go. So Sarah's still sitting there gagged, and he finally says he bets she wonders why she's there. Reminds her that she should be in the box. Nathan told him about the voices, and he takes down the gag and he says, "What if I was to tell you that despite the horrible things that you've done, that you can still help the people of this town, still do something good?" She agrees that Nathan would like that. So now on to the 11th scene, Colony House, and it's the trio's bedroom window. Fatima says that they are pretty, and Julie says that, oh, wait a minute, Julie's in the window arranging the flowers. I'm like, what is Fatima telling him, telling her that the both of them are pretty? And she found them like that, arranged like that on the porch at the side of the house.
Right,
Fatima says that they have a phantom florist and tells her that it's laundry day, which means we've got to get there before Trudy gets there. The
right.
12th scene, it's outside of town at the accident site, and they're at Jade's car. Jim is ripping all the wires out of Jade's car. Jade is pulling parts from the engine area, hurting himself and swearing. Jade calls the people ding dongs for stripping the car and leaving behind only the parts that matter. Jim says that they are not all ding dongs because they took the battery. Jade says that means that they have to go back to town as soon as he gets a cable out. Jade asks why they didn't strip the cars in town, and Jade says because this is a top of the line Audi Q5. And then asks if Jim wants to pin their hopes on some peasant model jalopy, which the town is loaded with, right?
Well,
They
she's
pick
got a
up this,
point.
Yeah, he does have a point. And they pick up their spoils, and Jade screams, "We're doing it! Science!" Which
Yes.
that's when I started to fall in love with Jade. So Jim looks back at the RV. Now we're at the 13th scene. This is the diner front counter. Mrs. Lou is folding napkins when Tabitha and Ethan come in with the Pratt box. Mrs. Lou takes them to the back where the storage is kept. Ethan is hesitant to go into the back for fear that Sarah will be there, and Tabitha assuages his fear, and he goes. Once they are in the storage area, Mrs. Lou leaves before Tabitha can ask where to put things. So now the 14th scene is just the storage area with Tabitha and Ethan. And they're looking around at everything. Tabitha tells Ethan not to touch anything because it all used to belong to people that lived there, which is kind of creepy, right? Because if it's in there, that probably means that person is dead.
Right.
Ethan says it's like the cabin of the lonely dragon. When the Cromanacle was lost in the rainbow sky, she found a cavern where the lonely dragon lived, and it was full of stuff that nobody wanted. But for the lonely dragon, all the stuff was treasure. That's like going into a thrift store. In one of the big piles of stuff, there was this map of the rainbow sky. So the lonely dragon gave it to the Cromanacle, and then she wasn't lost anymore. So maybe we'll find the map in here. Tabitha says that maybe they will when she sees and picks up a bracelet. What if the bracelet is actually the map? Like, we don't know what's on the map, right? Or what's on that bracelet. We just know that she made a mistake that made that bracelet absolutely unique. But what if that bracelet is like a Pandora's bracelet? Every little bead means something else and stands for something, right? So, and then the mistake that she made, like, mistakes happen. Is the whole thing just a mistake?
I don't think that's the case, but no, I and that would be really neat if it was about the bracelet. Like, the bracelet does have a key to the end of this show.
Yeah, because like, what if it has clues on it, right?
Well, I think everybody has some kind of maybe not everybody, but you think everybody has some kind of loss going into it?
I wonder, because
I mean, I guess the question that I have is, what's the common thread with all the people in From?
I mean, all right, so Kenny and Mrs. Lou were dealing with the loss, and I'm not talking about the death, but the loss of Mr. Lou, because he was no longer him, because he was suffering from dementia. The Matthews are suffering from the loss of Thomas. Boyd
was going on vacation. They were going to retire.
So the loss of their careers, even though they were on a new adventure.
What's
Sarah had,
okay.
Sarah had just been rescued by Nathan by something, like she was in a bad situation. Christy was, what was she, just going to the store or something?
Yeah.
She was just like doing something basic.
And Donna was just hunting with her sister.
Yeah.
I mean,
I forget lost its life.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened to Tom.
Yeah, we don't know about Tom. Not
and
much
we don't know about Frank.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there's got to be some kind of, I mean, I hope
there's got to be a common thread, or they're archetypes. Because later on, or was it last episode, that Victor says to Ethan, first he was chosen, and for whatever happened, like, remember, that was the last time that two cars showed up at the same time, and everything went bad. A lot of people had come into town, and then everything went bad. And then he said to Ethan, maybe you're chosen now. The 2 cars come into town. We're going to see that, more people are coming into town. So I don't know. Scene 15, we're in the woods at that tree. And it doesn't come up right away, but I do have some pretty good notes. I think it's the second part. But Jade and Jim are in a field of trees looking for just the right tree, one that's high enough for a signal. And then they find one. Jim doesn't think it'll work because the tree isn't tall enough. Jade disagrees. Jade says it's just a test run. Jade insults Jim by saying that he built a multi-million-dollar software company while the other did safety tests on teacup rides.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Jim quite smartly tells Jade to do it himself. Jade runs after him, telling Jim that people tell him he's not great at talking to people, and that Jim has no idea how hard it is being smarter than everybody else you know.
Right.
Jade tells Jim that he needs his help because he can't climb the tree because he gets vertigo. Jim is put off that Jade's brought him out here to climb a tree. Jade appeals to Jim, wanting to go home, and that they need to give this a try, and Jim goes for that. Jim starts climbing the tree like he's king of the jungle. So, and this was another reason why we didn't like Jade, but he does some humanizing, because he does say, this is why people don't like me, because I just don't know how to talk to people.
I'm a jerk.
He knows he's a jerk, and he's removed from things, but he can't seem to access that part of his personality. So scene 16, we're in the clinic, and it starts exterior, goes interior. Boyd goes into the clinic and walks in. He calls for Christy. He walks through the clinic to the downstairs boiler room without getting an answer. He looks at the remnants in the spot where Mr. Liu was killed. Christy joins him. She appears to have been doing laundry. Boyd asks how Kenny is doing. She says that he's having a hard time and trying really hard to be the person people need him to be, a deputy, and not letting Boyd down. She says that she gets that he wants to prepare him for ever needing to have to take over for Boyd, but right now he's really hurting and he doesn't need a sheriff, he needs a dad. Boyd is missing that point, right? Boyd finally gets it. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you're doomed to repeat them. He thanks her and leaves. Christy closes the boiler room door. And I think it's also where he failed with Ellis, although we don't know exactly what went down, but this, he's like, all right, he gets it, and he's going to try and fix it with Kenny. And I think this gives him an idea of how to fix it with Ellis. So the 17th scene is back in the basement. Katri and Sarah sit facing one another. Sarah is still tied to the chair. Katri says, people think the Bible is a fixed object, something written and completed. But how can the story be finished if all the players remain on stage? We call it the good book, but did you know it's actually comprised of 73 books? Did you know that? Matthew, Mark, Romans, Corinthians, 73 books. He pours her some water. They're all filled with tales of miracles and wonder. And he holds the cup up for Sarah to drink. But there's also darkness in the Bible. Gruesome, horrible things. Since the night I arrived, there seems to be a question I keep coming back to. 73 books. What if we, the people of this town, are living the book that is yet to be written? What if this is book 74? And Sarah, what if we are the chosen? Sarah asks for what as a tear slides down her cheek, and he says that he doesn't know, which is why he needs her to tell him about these voices. She sits back in the chair. So we're starting to get to the part that you were talking about. let's see. What if we are chosen? And I
Yeah,
don't.
no, he talks about being the chosen ones, and I think that it is.
I just remembered what Virgin Mary is. That's Fatima, even though we know she's not a virgin. Like she's
She's
having,
clearly not a virgin.
yeah, she's not a virgin. But as far as we know, it's assumed that she and Ellis
Are the chosen
are
ones.
are sexually involved, but we only ever get that confirmed when Fatima is flirting with another woman that she's been having sex. What if she's only been having sex with another woman and not Ellis? I don't know.
I can't
I
see
mean,
them
that's
not.
far fetched.
I
That's
can't
very
see them not
far-fetched.
having the sex.
I can't see it either. I mean, have you seen Ellis? And then have you seen Fatima?
I mean, hello.
So, but they're definitely going through trials and tribulations. All right. So, scene 18, we're back in the Matthews house interior. Tabitha sits at the table and twirls the bracelet, and she's thinking. Ethan asks when Jim will come home, and she says soon. Ethan asks what's wrong, and she says nothing. She's admiring this lonely piece of dragon treasure. The floor lamp flickers, and Ethan notices and asks Tabitha. She doesn't know. So Tabitha asks Ethan if he'd like to have a treasure hunt adventure, and it will be called Where Does the Light Come From? So they gather some tools. They start moving furniture out of the way. She has a hammer and he has a screwdriver, and she starts banging holes in the wall. And he's like, Mom!
I know, that was
So,
great. That was great. Like, what are you doing?
because you're not even supposed to write on the wall with your crayons, and they've done it with markers, and now she's banging a hole in the
Breaking
wall.
all the rules. They're breaking
Yeah,
all the
she's
rules in
breaking
front
all the
mill.
rules. So scene 19, and this is a heavy, heavy scene. We are going to have a lot to talk about. So we're back in the woods at the tree. Jim climbs the tree while Jade feeds him cable and actually compliments Jim. Jade connects the wires. Jim says he's snagged and asks for Jim's help. And Jade says no. Like he's sitting right there, right?
I know. He's being a dick.
Well, this is why we don't like him, right? And reluctantly shakes the wire like real haphazardly. And then when Jim asks again and it works, and Jim continues to climb. Jade finishes hooking up the radio. He stands and asks how Jim is doing, and he puts his hand on the tree. And this is when it all starts. A black substance starts running down over his hand, but it's blood. It's just so thick that it looks black. He starts to freak out and he looks around. He looks up and he sees mutilated Confederate soldiers and their body parts hanging from their tree. Their chest cavities are ripped open, which suggests the monsters. And then blood drips down from the body parts. This was the first time that I noticed that the chest cavities had been, ripped open and empty. I was able, I think I've been watching it on my TV. Sometimes the bigger the TV, it doesn't make it any better, but I was watching it on my iPad, and I'm looking and I can see all these details. So the bodies are hung from the tree, and there's parts like legs and arms and stuff that are hung on their own.
Yeah.
And like I said the last time, like they're definitely Confederate, because there's gray and gold on their uniforms, and the gold one that has the gold trim, that is an officer. And Jade is covered in their blood, and Jade sees the symbol for the first time.
Wait, I thought he saw it. I thought he saw the symbol.
Oh, he saw it on the roof.
Right in the
root cellar.
In the root cellar.
Yeah, so this is the second time. Sorry about that. Jade sees the symbol, and then a black Union soldier comes up behind him and puts Jade in his rifle sights and shoots at Jade. Jade runs off into the woods. The soldier has one completely white eye, and the opposite side of his face looks burned, and his right hand looks burned as well. So this guy's been through something, and maybe he entered into the army already like that, maybe not. The soldier follows Jade into the woods and fires again and misses. Jade falls. The soldier comes up to Jade and bayonets him in the stomach. Jade shimmies away. Just as he's about to be stabbed again, there's a flash of light, and then Jim is standing over Jade. Jim reassures him that whatever it is, it's not real. Jade gets him up, and then Jade tells Jim to get his hands off of him. He won't tell Jim what he saw, and he walks away. That scene is so jam-packed. And it reminded me of the whole Kelly scene, the whole Phoebe Rex scene where she's impaled to the tree. I don't think it was that same tree,
No.
but the way those bodies are hanging up there, just the same way that Phoebe Rex or Kelly was impaled to the tree, I think that it was the monsters toying with somebody. I don't know if toying with that soldier, the Union soldier, or what it was. But it definitely brings us to the early 1860s. That could be anywhere. Well, wait a minute. It depends on when the first slaves started entering. Well, actually, he was a Union. Well, it just depends on when they first started entering, when they were allowed to actually fight in uniform. So that would help us pinpoint when that could be.
Right.
Okay, so the 20th scene, we're back in the basement. Sarah and Katri are still talking. Sarah says that the voices told her that they wanted her help, that they'd been there a long time. They'd been waiting for someone to come and hear them and help them. Katri asked her to do what? Help them to escape, to go home. They said that they were just like us. Katri asked why she believed them. She says that they told her things that they couldn't know. They told her that 2 cars were coming and to stand near the edge of town and she would see. They said it happened before, that 2 cars came on the same day and everyone died. They said it was because of the people in the cars, but if she did what they said, that everyone would be safe and they'd go home. He asked how they would get home. She says that she doesn't know. He asked if she still believes that they were telling the truth, and she says that they promised that Nathan would be okay, and now and she starts screaming. So we know that Nathan is not okay. Katri says that if these voices are real, if something here is communicating with her, then that means that she's connected to this place in a way that no one else is.
Right.
And that makes her incredibly valuable. But we need proof. We need to be able to go to Boyd and tell him that you are with absolute certainty that the voice are not the product of a troubled mind, which anyone would think that that was the case.
Right.
She starts screaming no over and over again and says that she needs paper. They want her to show him something. So now we're in the woods at the tree. Jim goes back to the tree. He looks up at the branch that the bodies were hanging from, and he doesn't see anything. He picks up the radio, and there's static. So he asks if anyone is out there. Nothing. Again, nothing. But he hears static. So now we're at the interior of the diner. Jade sits at the table drawing the symbol over and over again. Mrs. Liu approaches with a cup of tea. Jade refuses the tea. She speaks to him in Cantonese, and he tells her that he doesn't know what she's saying. He drinks the tea, and it's good. Well, with what she puts in it, everyone thinks it's good. I'd probably like it too.
And then she notices the symbol.
Right. She picks up one of his drawings and he tells her that he keeps seeing it. She walks away and he follows her to the back. Mrs. Lou is in the storage area. Jade is amazed by all the stuff in there. He runs to help her with a heavy box. She looks through the box. She pulls things from the box and hands them to her. One is a yearbook from 1972. So she finds the notebook. He tries to find out what she's looking for, and she shushes him as he leafs through the book. As she leafs through the book, she finds it and shows him. The book is page after page of the symbol. So now we're in the church basement again. Sarah is furiously writing while wadded up pieces of paper are falling to the floor. She begs to stop, and it stops. She hands the paper to Khatri, and he asks what it is. They said they watched you on the day that you got here. They said they watched you bury the bag, and this is proof that they're real. She asks him if he knows what this means. So now we're in Boyd's bedroom, and Boyd is in his room looking for something. He finds it in the bottom drawer, and he leaves. I couldn't figure it out, but we'll find out what it is. We're outside the sheriff's office, and Boyd comes out of the office with a mitt and a ball.
Right.
All right, scene 26. We're in the Lou home kitchen. Kenny sits at the table carving chess pieces when Boyd arrives. Boyd asks Kenny to come outside and throw the ball around with him, and Kenny dismisses him. Boyd changes tack and tells Kenny that he played first base back in college. Kenny doesn't look up. He really doesn't care. Even had some scouts sniffing around a little bit. He was 18, thinking he might be going to the big show. This catches Kenny's attention a little bit. Boyd tells him that life had other plans. Life always seems to have other plans. Boyd tells Kenny that he's sick. Kenny asks if he's spoken to Christy about it, and Boyd tells him not that kind of sick. His father was diagnosed with Parkinson's around his age. Doctors swore it wasn't hereditary, and it would be rare if so. And this is the thing that I don't understand. Ethan gets better really fast, right? But Boyd is getting worse.
Well, it just could be something different. I mean, who's to say that his shaking isn't part of season 2?
Right. But it just seems like
it could be part of the entity.
Well, it could be part of the entity, but it's interesting that one person gets this debilitating, devastating injury and gets better really fast, and
who's to say that it's Parkinson's?
Yeah,
it could just say that they're stressing his body, and that's the way it's kind of reacting to it.
Yeah,
or who's to say that the entity isn't making him think that it's Parkinson's?
Yeah, that's true. He tells Kenny that he's sure what it is, that it's already chipping away at him. The time will come where he can't protect the people anymore. He has to find them a way out while he still can. The only reason he knows he can do this is because he knows he's going to be in good hands when he's gone. There's a lot of folks in town that are alive because of you, meaning Kenny. And I know your dad isn't around to say it, but I promise you, he's so proud of you. I'm proud of you. But if you tell me right now that you are not ready for me to go, that you need more time, then I'm not going anywhere. Kenny throws the chess piece he was working on, stands and walks to the kitchen door. He looks back at Boyd and he says, "We doing this or what?" And then they go out and play.
Right. Then they go out and play.
Now we're back to the Matthews house kitchen. Jim enters calling out for Tabitha and Ethan. He says that they might be onto something with the radio and that they will have to get higher up. And he sees the hole in the wall.
Ethan He's like, what the fuck?
I know, exactly, right? And Ethan comes upstairs with a bucket of dirt and tells Jim that they are on an adventure.
Wait, 2 days ago he's in a crutch, and today he's all in doing manual labor.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that there's a lot of dirt, and tells Jim that Tabitha is in the basement. Jim looks around and he goes to the basement. So now we're down in the Matthews basement. Jim goes down to the basement where Tabitha is digging. Tabitha asks how things went, and he tells her that they got some static, and he asks what she's doing, like she's nuts. She tells him that he's right. The electricity has to come from somewhere. There's no power lines, and all the wires and all the cords just go straight down. That's what she's finding so far. He asks her not to dig for a moment and asks what's going on. Again, like she's nuts. I mean, it is worrisome, right?
But if it was his idea, it would be okay.
Well, maybe.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I don't mean that. And that's not just because he's a guy. It's like, if anybody has an idea, it's the greatest idea ever. But when other people look at it, they're like, no, that's not going to work. That's not, we're not in a world of craziness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like.
But they are. Yeah. So she asked him if he remembers the bracelet that she made for him after their first few dates from the laces of his father's boots. Remember, he lost it at the hospital the night that Julie was born. She tells him to look at it behind him. He picks it up and still doesn't get it. He asks if she's telling him that she found a similar one, and she says, no, that is the bracelet from your father's boots. He disagrees and says that no, those were generic rawhide, the same as any boot. She shows him the accident on the bracelet, that she made it. She was so afraid that she ruined it. But then when she gave it to him, he said, accidents are the best part because it makes them one of a kind. Exactly, she says. He tells her that it's impossible, and she says that everything about this place is impossible. It doesn't make any sense. The wires don't make any sense. We might not be able to find out how this got here, but we can find out where those wires go. And so he asked for a shovel.
Or not.
Yeah. You know what? One of my favorite lines from a movie that includes the word shovel is from Clueless, when Cher is getting ready to go out on a date with Christian. And her father says to Christian, I've got a shovel and a 45. Nobody's going to miss you.
Exactly.
I love that line.
I love the other scene. The other thing, he's like, Cher, put a jacket on. And she puts on this like see-through like shirt. And she's like, of course, Daddy.
I love that movie. I'm sorry, but that's an Academy Award worthy movie. That movie is so good. Scene 30, we're at the Standing Stones. Khatri digs into the ground and pulls up his bag and looks around before opening it. He pulls out a bottle of alcohol, a bloody shirt, and a collar.
Candy bar.
Oh my God, and a candy bar. I'm just marveling at my typos because I just typed this really fast. He pulls out Sarah's drawing and compares them, and it's the same guy in a spaceship. So on the candy wrapper, there's a guy in a spaceship, and Sarah has drawn the same thing. So scene 31, we're at the motel pool. Boyd and Kenny play catch. Kenny has the glove, and he asks about Boyd. What is he? I don't know what that means. Boyd tells him first base. He doesn't need one.
Yeah, no. What he was saying was, he's like, oh, do you want to use the glove? He's like, no, I've been playing for years. I play first base. And he was just kind of, he knows Kenny needs the glove more than he does.
Yeah. Kenny tells him that he's got some heat, that they do some trash talking. Kenny throws the ball and Boyd catches it. Kenny says that he thinks he'll carve them a bat so that when Boyd gets back, that they can do this right. He knows that Boyd is going away. So I think this is our last scene. It's our last scene. Scene 32. Colony House downstairs. It's nighttime and people are sleeping and whatnot.
Again, this is where I come back to, who wants to live at Colony House unless you get a room? I mean, like,
some people like that kind of stuff. I'm wondering if it's the same couple. you know?
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you're Ellis and Fatima, man, Colony House is great.
I
Yeah,
know.
like, but like if you gotta fight for a bed every night, it's like, come on,
Yeah.
dude. So
I
anyway,
probably never get out of bed. I'd always
so
want my own
so
bed.
some knucklehead is walking through the
Oh,
place.
yeah. So this guy walks through the rooms and we can hear someone having a good time. He goes upstairs, more people are sleeping. He goes into the bathroom and he opens the shower curtain. On the other side of the window stands a girl holding flowers and she tells him that they are so beautiful.
Well, hello there.
He's so glad that she likes them. And she asks, "When can I come inside?"
I have to say though, it's a great ending to
Yeah.
a to
Yeah.
a to the show.
Yeah.
Um, but like, dude, really?
That the whole thing, like, is she hypnotizing him
Yes.
in the no, wait a minute. Because he willfully walks on his own up to that bathroom and he's not looking at her until he gets to the bathroom. Does she have some kind of pull on him without looking at him? Is she in
Yes, you know
his
what it's
mind?
called? He's
What?
thinking with the wrong head.
Okay. Maybe that's it.
I'm sorry. He is the dumbest person in From. And that's saying a lot.
Or maybe he's just the most desperate one and he's so tired of listening. Because, like, it's kind of convenient that we hear the couple having sex as he's making his way through the house. So maybe that woman turned him down, or
Or
everyone has turned him down. Or, I mean, maybe even if Trudy turns him down, he's just like, I
okay,
gotta
I
get
got one better.
there.
I got one better. Okay, so if he wants to like be with Jasmine, and that's what it actually says, girl at the window / Jasmine,
Right.
in the credits, Molly Dunsworth, who we had on, and she was
Oh,
awesome.
she's awesome.
It's our highest viewing episode
Video. Yeah.
video. It's got over 7,000 views, which I have to say that because I'm like in shock.
Yeah.
But if he was that
Actually, she's in shock. Anytime you tell her, she's like, "What?"
we got to get her back because I
I
mean,
love her. She's
um,
awesome.
but that said, like if his life is that shit, like go out there and kill yourself. Don't do
Yeah.
what you did. It's just like, anyway, he just drives me nuts. But
Yeah.
do you have any other notes?
Actually, that was the end of it. Like,
No, I just didn't know if you had any other,
yeah, no, I
thought.
don't have any other notes. Um, there's stuff that comes together. It's kind of like this episode pairs with episode 7, because we get the second half of a lot of things in that episode. And we lose Father Khatri temporarily, and it was shocking. I'll never forget.
I don't think anybody saw that coming.
I didn't. I remember the very first time I watched it, and I was like, "What?" I was so like it comes out of nowhere,
Right.
nowhere. And
Yeah, we're gonna try to get Sean back on. We
yeah,
tried to do something, but he's been on a world tour of Toronto.
that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, no, it's just we got to get him back on for these 2 episodes just to kind of talk about it again. I
Yeah,
think there's a lot to be said for uh the storage area. There's a
yeah.
lot of great clues. I mean,
Oh,
I'd
I
love
would
to know what it's all.
love to go through
Well,
there.
I would love to know exactly what that's all about. I hope the bracelet does have some meaning. Like I
Yeah,
love like when um there was something that they needed in a movie and they had it all along. It was like on
yeah,
the wall or something, and
yeah,
that's what could get them going.
yeah.
Um, you know, I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion at the end of the season. I think it's going to be another cliffhanger. Um, they had said that they wanted to do 5 seasons, and I think they're going to probably end up getting to
Oh, I
do
haven't
5.
even heard that.
No, I think that they said that's. I thought I heard something like that.
Yeah.
They could wrap it up in 5 seasons. Whatever it is. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the things that I'm taking with me from this episode is
Sarah's
definitely
Sarah's.
Ethan,
I'm sorry.
what Ethan says when they're in the storage room, that, he drops a whole piece about the Chromonocle's journey.
Yes.
And then Tabitha finds the bracelet right after that, because he says, maybe we'll find a map here. And the very next thing, like the next breath, is she is picking up that bracelet. And I think that bracelet could be a map. I wonder if she's wearing it when she falls out of the light tower. That's something we need to look for.
Right.
I do think that bracelet's important. And the other thing is this book 74. I'm wondering if that is going to come back.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if there really is a religious angle to this, or is that a red herring?
I don't know if I would call it religious.
When I say religious, is it a
Bible related?
Yeah, Bible related or not, or is it just I mean, I just hope they stick the landing. I say that I hope there's like an answer, unlike what people say in Lost.
I like long play games where you look at these things and they drop these like clues and little bits along the way, like these breadcrumbs along the trail, and then they may not have a purpose at that particular moment, but they're up there saying, all right, let's put a flag in that, saying, all right, we've got to remember this. This is going to become important later, like the yearbook from 1972. So we know, I think that might be a clue as to what year it was that everyone was killed again.
Well, I think that's when Victor came to, well,
it doesn't, but the thing is, it doesn't make sense. Like the whole disco lunchbox is throwing me off.
Okay. No, I know what you're saying. I just think there's so many red herrings, but we don't know what the red herrings are just yet, and that's what's really frustrating. But
it's the disco lunchbox,
which I'm looking at right now.
Yep, and he's holding it in the scene where everyone is dead on the street. And remember, I went down the street. I was like, that car's a 68. That one's a 68. That one's a 72. That one could be a 70. Like I went through all of those cars and did the best I could do to identify them. And that was the time frame I came up with.
But why was Victor there all alone for so long? What did he do?
Well,
wrong?
It's after that point. He's the last one left. Why did they? Because he, like he says to Ethan, I was chosen. Does the chosen one stay alive? Like we don't know where his, like, did he ever say that he found his mother and his sister's bodies?
No. I mean, there's a theory going out that Tabitha is a sister.
Yeah, I've seen that one too.
I mean, there's a bunch of theories out there, and not that we're not going to go down that road. It's just, I mean, you have to. I just want to see it play out. But next week we're going to be looking at next episode. I should say we're going to be looking at season 1, episode 7, All Good Things, and see, unfortunately, a couple of demises of some people, and probably one of the best scenes that I think not only the cast, but it's a fan favorite without a doubt. It's a fan favorite. In terms of what we're doing, we got a little bit of announcement. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. We're working with Kirk Manley to do a season 1 tribute poster, which we're going to have all the details soon. We're just trying to figure out how we're going to be able to put it on Etsy / whatever. So that you
This
got,
thing is going to be epic, epic.
we're going to,
I should have kept my my Kirk poster out because I do have some of his work, and I just want people to see, a sample of what he does. But his work is amazing.
yeah, we've been working with him to try to do a season 1, and if it's successful, we'll definitely do a season 2, and then keep going.
I'm starting to think about it. If you want to see some of Kirk's work,
I'll put his website in the show notes.
okay,
It's batmankm@.com.
or just find Batman KM on
Instagram. Yeah, he does a lot of Walking Dead, Marvel. He was on with me that did a lot of the Marvel, the Echo, Loki, and whatever else. And folks, before we go, if you have,
before we go, I do want to show you. I made something, Alex.
oh, okay, I'll let you have the spotlight.
Oh no! Can you see it? This is terrible. All right. So this is Arrivals since episode 1. And up here we've got the Matthews family and Jade. They're the last ones in. And then Sarah and Nathan coming in. They've been there a few months. Then Christy at 6 months. Donna, 3 years, 6 months, and 17 days. And then Victor. So every time we find out about someone's arrival, I can put it in there. This is the arrival boards.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that the arrival board has arrived.
What this thing? I think it's awesome.
I think it's awesome too. And folks, just so you know, if you're looking for some other podcast programming, they're going to. Kristen and Ben are still doing Ted Lasso Revisited. Run for Your Lives is doing some scary movie that I'll never watch. But
What's
if you love scary
movie,
I have no idea. They just do stuff I will never watch.
Okay.
I talk to Daphne on a daily or semi-daily basis, and she tells me about these movies, and I'm like, you have fun with that.
Yeah.
I'm continuing to start doing the after show for Walking Dead or The Ones Who Live. We do that 20 minutes after 10 Eastern Standard Time with Jason and special guest. And are you talking Walking Dead, young lady?
No. Kim and I were going to, but last Sunday, I think it was, or Saturday, Kim's husband ended up in the hospital and things look serious. So,
oh no.
Yeah. I was looking forward to it, but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate, but you can still get all the season finale of Fear. I know they did. Ha ha. And and all
Kim
the other
did it. I didn't do it. I was
no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah.
And do you have any other book stuff that you're doing? Are you going anywhere for book stuff?
I have submitted for a couple of places. I haven't been accepted yet, but I am today. I hope that I will be finishing up my first round of edits on my book 5.
Awesome.
And I'm mentally putting together a new series. So it's still up here, but I'm very excited about book 5. I think I'm going to do my first ever book box. And I have these shepherds. I still have to paint a snowflake on his back or on her back, but this is Snowflake from the book.
So for those of you that have read the book, she's got a plastic black shepherd.
Yeah, it's a black shepherd. My book series is Lizzie's Lost Girls. So
And that'll
Yeah.
be in the show notes as well with the Amazon and all that good stuff. So I think we got it all covered. And like I said, we're going to be talking about some serious partying going on at Colony House. And we'll see what happens. So that said, my name is Alex.
And I'm Lizzie.
And we are out of here.
Get you home. Let's go. Come on, get in your house. Let's go. Come on.